Good evening and welcome. Latest in the Russian spy poisoning investigation now. US President Donald Trump has called British Prime Minister Theresa May and discussed about the ongoing probe into the chemical attack on the former Russian spy. He agreed with the UK that Moscow must provide unambiguous answers regarding how the chemical weapon was developed in Russia. Meanwhile, Russia has vowed to retaliate for any British sanctions imposed in response to a suspected poison attack on the British soil and demanded access to samples of nerve agent that investigators say was linked to Moscow in the poisoning of a former Russian spy and his daughter. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Russia does not intend to comply with the UK Prime Minister Theresa May's demand for an official explanation of how the nerve agent identified as Novichok allegedly came to be used in the poisoning attack in the UK. Lavrov insisted that the Russian experts should be able to examine the British evidence.
Сразу же, как только появились слухи, раздуваемые практически всеми членами английского руководства, насчет того, что в отравлении Скрипаля задействовано вещество, произведенное в Российской Федерации. Мы тут же запросили официальной нотой доступ к этому веществу, чтобы наши эксперты могли проанализировать его в соответствии с Конвенцией о запрещении химического оружия. И также мы потребовали в той же ноте предоставить нам доступ ко всем фактам, связанным с расследованием, учитывая, что одной из пострадавших является Юлия Скрипаль, российская гражданка.
Meanwhile, world leaders are coming in support of Theresa May. French President Emmanuel Macron condemned the attack in Britain. Macron's office said that the president condemned an unacceptable attack and recalled France's commitment in the fight against impunity for the use of chemical weapons. Even German Chancellor Angela Merkel spoke to Theresa May and said it is up to Russia to quickly provide answers to the British government, justified questions and to heed the call to completely and immediately lay bare the relevant chemical weapons program to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. In fact, condemnation from Paris and Berlin followed a day of statements of support from European Union officials. The official of EU foreign policy chief called the use of the Soviet-era nerve agent shocking and said the European Union was ready to offer support if requested. European Commission deputy had called on the bloc to express its full solidarity with the British people and the British government and make a collective European effort to find and punish those responsible for the attack. Right, joining me live from London is WION's very own Mandy Clark. Good evening, Mandy. We are waiting for a statement by the British Prime Minister in the British Parliament. What kind of measures or retaliatory actions are we expecting?
Well, there's a lot of speculation, but they do believe that they might pull out diplomatic staff. There was a threat that they might cancel RT, which is the Russian news broadcaster here in the UK. Now, if they do that, Russia has already promised equal retaliation measures. So if the UK pulls out the diplomatic staff in Russia, they're going to do the same. And they will also cancel broadcasting licenses of UK companies such as the BBC. So they're promising tit-for-tat measures in whatever the UK decides. The UK has also called an emergency meeting with the UN Security Council to discuss this nerve agent to see what more measures can take place. Of course, Boris Johnson had earlier said that Britain might pull out of the FA World Cup. Now, the World Cup says they have no plans to pull out yet, but all options are on the table because certainly Britain wants to show that they are unhappy about this attack on their own soil and they want to make substantive measures so Russia will stand up and take notice.
And also very quickly, Mandy, what are the people who were either present at the site or near the site of the attack are saying? Now, they've been told to either throw away their clothes and watches and phones or to wash their clothes and then use them again. So what are the people reacting? How are they reacting to this incident now?
Well, they were quite angry, a lot of them, about the length of time it took health officials here in the UK to tell them to dispose of those clothes that they were wearing either at the public house or at the restaurant. And certainly there feels like there's been a threat. It feels like a mixed message, a lot of people have said, because they said there's no need to worry, but throw away all your clothes. They want a much clearer picture of what threat they might risk or face. So there's a feeling of unease and uncertainty. And there's other Russian exiles who live in Britain who fear that they may be next, because certainly it seems so far Britain simply cannot protect the Russian exiles on British soil.